Okay, so this is how you make the noodles. So you take about a cup, a little over a cup. You want to make a nice little pile. Okay. You make a little hole, little crater. Take one egg. Two tablespoons of milk. And a half a teaspoon of salt. And you pour it into the hole. And you just kind of slowly add in the egg, slowly add in the flour. Try not to let it escape. And you start forming your dough. So you'll start to see it collect, and you just want to kind of mold it. And start to roll it out. Now, if you had a pasta maker, it'd be a lot easier. One of the things I really enjoy about this pasta is the rusticness of it. Okay? The fact that it's not uniform. That when it comes out, it's nice and thick. That they're not uniform sizes. I don't know, it's just something about the homemadeness of it. It just makes this chicken noodle soup taste all that much better. There you have it, nice and thin. Now we're just going to set that off to the side while we get the vegetables ready. Okay, so I've got the vegetables here ready. Same vegetables you had in the mirepoix. Okay, onions, carrots, celery, except this time we're not going to use quite as much. Okay. Now there's several ways of cutting onions. You can either go straight on, where the blade stays straight up. And you cut it on the bias like this. Nice and flat. And then lastly, you dice. So that's one way of doing it. I particularly don't like doing that side one, and the whole reason you do that one on the side is to get these edges so they're not so long. So what I do is I just go in as an angle. So I just cut it. You see right there in a sunburst pattern. And then I'll go ahead and cut it. And if you look, the difference between the two really isn't too much. I feel like this gets a little more uniform versus this, and this way it just cuts it a lot faster, a lot cleaner. As you saw at the very end, it was still kind of in the shape that it was originally poured. Okay. Celery. I always cut the edges off. Again, if you do this before, you can use those pieces for your chicken stock. I usually cut the celery longwise first into the thickness that I want it. Okay. And then I'll go through and slice it. You notice my finger is always touching the knife. The other fingers are further away from it. Now with the mirepoix, you wanted twice as much onions as you did celery and carrots. But when you're making soups, you cut back on the amount of onions. You want it about the same. So one kind of fun thing to do that I've done with the carrot strips, you actually boil them in a heavy syrup kind of consistency. So it's 2 parts sugar to 1 part water, and you boil those. And then once they've been boiled and become soft, you strain them out, and then you deep fry them. And those carrots will become nice, crispy, little sugary morsels that are absolutely delicious. Use them for a garnish on a dish. So you see the first cut, I'm trying to take care of it, take off one edge that's wider so that the rest of it is all mostly uniform. Now if you're doing a lot and it's getting a little bit too hard to handle, spread it out. And you just start on one end. Careful to keep your fingers away from the knife. So even though this time my fingers may not particularly be touching each one of the knives, okay, I still got my knuckles, so it'll hit my knuckles first, and then the other thing is I make sure that I don't lift the knife higher than where my knuckles are. So if you're trying to get garlic out, One of the annoying things is trying to get the peel, the skin, off of garlic. Okay, there's a little trick you can use. Take 2 bowls that are fitted well, and you just go crazy. There we go. You just go crazy. Give it as much as you get, everything you've got, and just shake it. And basically what it does is garlic is slightly flexible, and so it hits that and bends and bends and bends. Then the back and forth just kind of shakes off the skin. Okay. The other thing with garlic, you can go ahead and slice it thin like this, depending on the application. If you want to actually see the garlic, then you want to do it that way. Okay, but if all you want is minced garlic, you take the flat of the blade, you put it on top like that, and you just smack it. Then you go ahead and mince it. Now you see me doing this a lot, okay, where I'm scraping the stuff off of the blade. Okay, what you got to look at real closely is this. Okay, as I'm scraping it off, look at how my finger is positioned to the blade. Okay, it's away from the blade. Okay, away from the blade, away from the blade. Okay, I've always got my hands so that they're curved, and I go away. I never go like this, where my hand's covering the blade. It's always like that. Really, the only time I'll cut myself on a blade is when I first get it. I don't know what it is about getting a brand new knife. Ask your other chefs. It's not officially yours until you've cut your fingers. It just happens. No matter how careful you are, half the time it's pulling it out in and out of the knife bag. Sometimes it's just doing something. I don't know. It's like the blade's like, I want you. I like you. I'm gonna bite you. Okay, now we're friends. We're friends. All right. So garlic on the hands. Absolutely horrible smell, and it's so hard to get off, no matter how much soap. What's great is that stainless steel will pull that scent off of your fingers. So when you're done cutting garlic with your knife, again, very carefully, but as you clean your knife under running water, using that same method where your fingers are out, and just kind of rub your hands up against the side of the blade, and it will literally just remove the garlic off of the smell off of your hands. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna square these up just a little bit, and we just roll them up. Not too tight. Just roll it up. And then you'll just make 1/4-inch discs. Just unravel them. If they break, don't worry about it. What you want to do is you want to let these sit and dry out for a little while. Okay. Last one. I think we'll just cut it this way on this one. Okay. And there's the noodles. Let them sit out and dry. Once we get the soup going, we'll add those noodles in. So now we're going to start working on the actual soup. A little bit of oil. Again, you want to make sure it gets nice and hot. I got a little bit of oil in there. The pan wasn't 100% dry. Whoops! So we're going to get some splattering as that water is evaporated. We'll go ahead and start with the onions. Get those onions sauteed up. Now the French term for sauté, you know, when everybody's like, oh, sauté, it's actually a French term. And what that means is to jump. If you look at it, the onions will kind of start to jump a little bit. Oop. That's why it's called sauté. You know? In cooking, we use a lot of French terms. Mirepoix, mise en place. This right here is the mise en place. This is everything in its place, mise en place, everything ready to go. So that once you start the act of cooking, you don't have to stop to get anything. In professional kitchens, it's very, very important because people want their food and they want it now. They want it once they've ordered it. So having things ready to go and is very, very important. I'm going to saute these up. See, it starts to get a little bit of brown on it. Once it starts getting a little brown, go ahead and throw in the carrots and the celery. As well as the garlic. Alright, you see here, starting to see a little bit of the translucent coming through. You want to keep on cooking until those onions are translucent. Alright. There we go, look at that. Looking pretty close. Let's go ahead and add in the chicken. You see right there, it's starting to stick to the actual pan. A little bit of sticking is fine, but if a lot starts happening, you end up getting starts burning. See right there, starting to get the beginnings of the burning. Now we add in our chicken stock. Alright, I'm going to let that simmer like that for about 15 minutes, and then we'll put in the noodles. Alright, you see right here it's nice and just brought it up to a boil and then dropped it down to a simmer, letting it cook. Now I'm going to put the noodles in. Just spread out the noodles. And now, once we get that, it cooks for about 15 minutes to get those noodles done. Chicken noodle will be done. Season it with salt and pepper. Okay, so as you can see now, see how much bigger those noodles became. I cut them into about 1/4 inch, and they've doubled in size. And that's what I like about these noodles. Big, hearty noodles. Yep, I really enjoy these noodles. Anyway, from here, all you need to do is season with salt and pepper, and then adding any other seasonings you want. But this right here has got all of those wonderful nutrients in it. People absolutely love it.